Hello, I'm male feminist Anders Bloom. Give you a big welcome.
By the way, I thought I'd just give you a space in this interview. It's a perfect time to do so. I remember when Simple himself said something, I think it was at the end of 2022. He said himself in an interview something like that because he hadn't been back home. He hadn't seen his mom in something crazy, like 6 months or something outrageous like that. Like, obviously, you guys had all had to travel on the road. One thing I do want to give you a chance to talk about is, in history, people will look back, Blade, and they'll just look on like Liquipedia or whatever Wikipedia exists in the future, and they'll just see results of Blade, and they'll go, right, 2022, okay, second, but they won't know what happened outside the server. So here's my question. What was different? Like, what were the challenges that year of potentially being away from home, having different, what were the challenges compared to a normal year of CS? You've had many, many other years of being a pro in CS and even with Navi as a coach and traveling the circuit. What were the added things people didn't see if they were just a fan watching the game? Like things like what Simple said. Was it a significant impact on you? Did you have a lot of challenges yourself? What would you say that year was like?
You mean when the war started?
Yeah. How did it affect everything?
Like first thing that happened was, like, let's say first month was the most toughest because you don't even think about Counter-Strike.
Right.
You don't even think about Counter-Strike, and it's not important anymore. But then when you kind of back on track, the main difficulty was to move, to become immigrant, let's say.
Right.
To immigrate.
Right.
You need to find a new place, home place, and you don't know it's going to be temporarily or not. And I moved Poland, then Warsaw, Amsterdam, then Düsseldorf, then Italy.
Oh, wow. You lived in a lot of places. Holy fuck. Okay.
And then for 8 months, I lived in Italy, in Bergamo. And after now I live in Barcelona for, I think, almost 2 years. So yeah, it was tough. This aspect of constantly not having your home. The feeling of home I think is very important for your mental aspect.
Sure.
But what you can do, like, you still, like, if you are in a tough situation, the only thing you can do is, like, I need to fix it with my job. I can do my best in the job, and this is the only thing I can focus.
Yes.
And it was mostly like not thinking about anything, like just ignoring and focusing on this. That was maybe, I don't know how others did this, but I was trying not to be destroyed. I was just trying to focus on the job, and not thinking, how to say, not to be constantly frustrated, let's say like this, not to be damaged, like, emotionally, and trying to stay strong and constantly focusing on our goals as a team, because no matter what, like, you still have this, you still have your job, you still have your team, you can try to achieve something. And day by day, we were trying to adapt. But I don't know how it was for others. But yeah, for sure, like, to be much more comfortable if you could just come home to see your family, and you need to adapt to this new environment.
When you made this roster at the very end of CSGO, where it was just one with none of the Russian players, and it was obviously with Aleksib, basically it's the same lineup now, but with Wonderful instead of Simple in the modern lineup, but it had Simple at the end of CSGO. When this lineup was made, obviously one of the big names that actually surprised people was Aleksib when you picked him up. And here's the interesting thing, Blade. You made this comment after you'd won the major with him, where normally when someone's the coach of a player, Blade, they're really biased to that player and they just, praise him all the time and say he's really good. When you actually won the major with Aleksib, you made that weird comment where you said that you thought he was like a tier 2 IGL before he came to you, but then under you he became tier 1. Can you expand on this? What did you mean by that? Because it sounded a little bit like to some people that you didn't think Aleksib was that good and you kind of made him good or something. What were you meaning by that statement?
I think it was only the title. I think even that interview, the answer was pretty understandable. I mean, not a lot of people read this answer fully. But I think that there was a question about how we evolved the team, what progress we did. And I said that logically when, if 1 year ago, if you compare 1 year ago and me today, if I didn't evolve, it sounds weird. It means you're doing something wrong. And if you're a player, still active player, and if you didn't progress in 1 year, if you're the same, then you are stagnating, basically. And I was just answering that when we picked him up, I was emphasizing on the aspect that the amount of work we did, from when we picked him, he was one player, and the progress we did, now he's a different player, which for me is natural. This is how every team must work. People just, I think, don't. It's obvious, right? Yes. If you think about this process, and they just read what they want to read. Let's say like this.
Yes.
But yeah, we picked. I think I also said in the interview, the team that we made, it was not. We didn't choose players. We just took anyone who left.
Right.
And this is truth, and this is. It's not like we're diminishing the the value of our players. It just they give us the market gave us this choice, these options. We took the best out of these options and tried to build something out of these options. That's all. And it was not a Falcons project, let's say like this.
Right, sure.
Okay, it's not like we're picking, we actually wanted to pick Nico, we wanted to pick Robs, Twist, but we couldn't. They didn't agree. We were thinking about Kaden also. The options, there was a lot of options. We just always, I was interviewing some players, speaking with Flames, with Kaden, with Nexa, Aleksib. So there were a lot of options.
Okay.
Kickstand also. At the end we were thinking about Kickstand or Aleksib. This was final too. And we chose Aleksib. Firstly, because he has more experience. I like that he went through so many projects. It means he was trying a lot of times. I don't think it was successful, right? It was. I think OG didn't have huge success, and if he didn't have huge success, even G2 with star players eventually failed, I think. And but still, when you are trying so many things, it means that you saw different angles. Maybe it will be easier for me to explain something, to refer to something.
Okay.
And experience also, because if you IGL simple beat, simple mostly, you need to show your experience, you need to show your status. I think we thought that it will be hard for Kickstand.
Yes.
To adapt instantly. And And yeah, but overall, I think like there are so many things obvious and so many things in the air. People just, I don't know, like don't want to see them. For example, nowadays, if you pick a coach, for example, your organization wants to hire a new coach. How you can be sure that his knowledge is something you can trust? Like, where did he get this knowledge? Is there some books of Counter-Strike, or some academies, or like he has systematic some methodology he built it, or what? Like it's still like this. If you now like, I think it will be even 5 years more. It will be like this. It's very raw industry. You just pick somebody, give him a huge salary, and how do you know? Are you sure? The only thing that you can be sure is the results.
Yes.
But what if this result was not his?
Sure. Like it wasn't him who did it, right? Yeah, it was his cause, right?
Maybe he was just like a little part of this.
Yeah.
Maybe it was not his achievement, like main achievement.
Absolutely.
It's also very important, and that's why. And a lot of players nowadays, they have a lot of ego, also. And for last 4 years, I think there was a lot of projects where different teams just were hiring like piece by piece strong players with completely different background.
Yes.
And knowledge, and they wanted them to click like this to start playing. Yeah. And but what is their knowledge? The knowledge is like they see the player is doing good statistics, like killing around, like making highlights. But what is his knowledge? You don't know his knowledge. You just need to be sure that he has a knowledge of content. Okay, another thing. You won a tournament, but are you sure that this guy you're hiring can repeat this? Does he even know how he won? Maybe he was just playing with intuition. Can he repeat the intuition? No, he cannot. And so the main thing, I think, is that you need to trust, to know who you're trusting. Like, you must be sure that this guy has knowledge to build something. And I said you can only trust the results, but even results are not so. They're also fragile. It can be maybe not his impact. Maybe it was not his. He was not impactful in this project, and that's why I think the only thing is valuable is a kind of error. Okay, for example, if you take Brazilians, I think they had some kind of error, right?
Yeah, in 2016, yeah.
Yes, and there was Fallen, and I think he has this knowledge.
Sure.
And you cannot. We don't know what is this knowledge, but we cannot neglect that he was dominating for a lot of time, so he could understand something and take this knowledge.
I mean, you're kind of saying that if someone won like one tournament, for example, no one knows what the role of the leader was. But if like someone wins like 4 or 5 or was like the dominant team, he has to be doing something, right? Is that the logic?
Yes. And for example, Astralis was succeeding a lot. But after this, for example, Donic went to Vitality and they also won. And then something didn't click in Falcons first, right? They didn't get good players. And I think now with his knowledge, this failed project 1 year, I mean, it's very good experience for him, like, because it's now more knowledge he has.
Right.
And this is something that you can trust. But now everyone must trust, but not only like, because if you bring 3 different point of views, and his knowledge will be useless because they will be always confronting each other. And who else we can take nowadays? Like, for example, our project. I really proud like of what we achieved 21. And for me, I was even more proud that we achieved something with this lineup. I'm really proud because for me, it proves that we are on the correct path, kinda. We're doing something correct, and we did it like with international lineup, completely like people from different background, and that's why for me, like this win on Copenhagen Major was the biggest achievement, huge achievement, because I proved for myself that I'm doing something correct, and because hesitation is a huge part, like I think for a lot of people, and for sure for coaches, sometimes they don't know if it's correct what they're doing. And also, like I said before, the knowledge. Like, for example, if we could pick in our team Cadian, for example, which was also an option, I would need to explain him a lot of things like how I see. But he was heroic, had his own vision, right? And then he went to Liquid, and in Liquid, you saw the same, like I was just saying. He was trying to prove them that he is right.
Yes.
And they were, we don't want to play like this. We see the game differently.
Yes.
This is what I think, maybe this is what happened. I don't know.
No, I heard something similar.
Outside, from outside. So this is like bringing the topic of nowadays, you cannot rely on results. And when you're hiring a guy, it's a full, not full, but it's a little bit lottery always.
Oh, of course, yes.
And that's why, for example, when we brought Aleksib, for us, it was, like I said, in interview also something obvious that he must progress from day one to winning the major. And the same is here. Like when we brought him, I understood that it's a good option for me to implement my system because I can compare like what he achieved and what we achieved, and it will be easier for me to explain him like that this is good approach, that this is finally a moment when he can learn something and be like part of a system. And that's why like he did a great job and a huge success, huge progress from day one, what I saw from him, which I actually saw how this is when we picked him from first practice days. I saw the same approach that I thought would be, okay? And it's very hard sometimes to change these kind of players. And that, for example, like I think why Cadian was kicked from Liquid. And I was thinking about this a lot, that it's very important, like, because I was on this path a lot of times. I was seeing this, I was reading about this from different teams, and I was expecting this. It was very, very difficult situation. I knew that we need that if he was picked from different lineups, it was for a reason, right? So I spoke with a lot of coaches, like with 3 coaches he was before, found my like information, knowledge about him, and understood what is his approach a little bit, understanding my approach. And it was important to build from players we got in IGL something. And it was crucial for him not to repeat the same mistake. Because I think he was even saying this somewhere, that from team to team, he was trying to do something, but was always something was not clicking. And this is where I understood this is the moment. This is where I can use this potential, like of him, finally succeed, because experience of failure is a very important experience. That's why, like, this is what positive aspect I found in this higher, or I mean, on this peak when we picked Aleksib, and that's why it's very important to explain like why I said this, like from his progress when I picked him, who he was, and he changed a lot. But at the same time, it was kind of obvious that he cannot be tier 1 AGL after we picked him from an AP. He cannot, because he had like 4 or 5 projects that were not successful. So logically, how he can be tier 1 AGL, right? But he needs to prove himself. It's also an important part about tier 1. Like, it's also very subjective. Like, what is tier 1? Like, it's my list. It's not like objective list.
Sure.
And sometimes when I need to explain, it means that I want him from where he was to become better. So tier 1 is something like better list, like not where he was.
Right. Let me ask about some of the other players. So one player I would like to ask about, I purposely waited till now to ask about Bit, because even though he was with you in the 2021 lineup and he was like the rookie of the year and everyone remembers how well he played, I think he was a very different player back then played. Like, I remember seeing some interviews where it was implied that actually people like Simple and Electronic, the more veteran players in the team, even used to sort of like tell him what to do on the round and like, you know, like pull back, like you're too aggressive now, or you can push out or whatever, right? The reason I say it, I want to ask about him now, Blade, is because the Bit that I watch in 2024 looks like he's the veteran. Like, this is a guy who seems like he has a very strong sense of what he wants to do in the game. He seems like he's reading the game really well. Like, some of his looks are amazing, mate. Like, he just finds the timing, or the amount of times I've seen him on T side just get a free kill in the side of a CT's head is incredible. It shouldn't happen. This shouldn't be possible. So how has he evolved? How is the difference of the Bit in 2024 to Bit of 2021?
Yeah, he had an interesting evolution process. Very interesting. That's true. I didn't see this happen also, which is also a good experience for me, because I think he was in the shadow of Electronic. Okay, let's say in that team was one environment, and we can explain this for a long time. Like, what was its environment? It was different aspects, not about even feeling. It's more about like saying something or doing something in the game, or again, like positive mentally, how he was feeling, everything. Like, it was his friends, what language he was speaking. And at the end of 2022, 21 is very easy. He was like young player, very raw, like just pure skill, like listening, and he was relying a lot. And the environment was very good for him, like in terms of Boomich and Electronic was speaking a lot.
Right.
And they was saying something that they were showing, like speaking a lot about what happens on the map and with ideas they want in the round. And for him, it was kind of comfortable environment. And then at the end of like, let's say in Paris Major, when NPL was playing for us, it was already like different beat, and he was not so confident. He was not playing the same as he's playing now, and he was going a little bit down. Like, he was playing bad, in my opinion, comparing on what he can play. I mean, important thing is not about like only killing. It's more about like the thinking process, analyzing process in the game, how he understands the opponent, the situations, everything. And at that moment, I saw that was not good. And when we were changing to international lineup, we were not thinking that he will play like this. He was not our main bet. Let's say we're not betting like he will be like our saver. And as soon as we changed to international, we changed the language, and on first months, first screens playing, I already noticed the change already then. He was a different player, like different environment. He's trying to help new players a lot. His brain works differently in this language.
Oh, okay.
Also because he is constantly focusing on something else, not only game. He was before it was for him natural like to save something. Now he needs to think about the game and to translate. So it looks like his brain works more, and day by day it was evolving in something more stronger, and something the way how it started, the direction was set, and in this direction he was evolving, like better, more communicating, more helping to players, more he understands that he needs to share the experience, he needs to it's actually very natural. He understands that in this situation he understands, okay, so they don't know what to do, I see what to do, but they don't know, I just tell them, that's all, because before he doesn't need to tell. And so the difference in the experience for sure, like of and vision, and that's why he and Simple was like two best players in the beginning on the server, and all others then. And then when Simple was benched, then he became the most experienced player and the best player on the server. And it affects you a lot, like your confidence. You understand your value. You understand how important it is to show a good example, to teach them something, to help them, and so on. And also, like I said, different language. And this is the direction where he was evolving, and this is how he played in 2024.
To ask about GL, I'll set it up like this. This is the player I actually think was the biggest gamble on this new NAVI project, because the other ones, people remember Imma's run at the Paris Major, everyone already knows who Aleksib is, etc. But if you look at that lineup, GL, when he was in the Apex team, like he was a good player, but he wasn't some like super talent for me. In fact, I don't think he was the best player in that team. But very early on in NAVI, even before this 2024, even at the beginning of the project, one of the things actually I remember telling people was, this guy has some special ability, though, when it's like the big pressure game, though. Like, he gets better. You know, normally the weird thing about pressure is it makes almost everyone a bit worse. Like, we said this earlier in the interview, even people like Simple get affected by pressure sometimes and play worse in like a big final or something. This guy, JL, just has some, in English, we call it like impact player or, you know, big game player or something. What would you agree? Is there something special about what he's got going for him? Because, again, he's another person like Zeus, where from his out of the server personality, people think he's very silly or he's irreverent or he's not serious. But in this server, he seems like he locks in a really, he's a killer in the game, right?
I think he evolved a lot also. So I think when we were playing Copenhagen Major, I don't think I was expecting him to play like this. And also, it was not the player I saw in Apex at all. And for us, the main thing was that he had a good aim overall. And I like the thing that he played Counter-Strike not for a long time.
Oh,
I think before something like maybe 2 years. Maybe maximum 3.
Right.
It was a very short period of time that when Paris Major finished, the amount of time he spent like in a professional team was not a lot comparing to others at all.
Sure.
Like maybe like this guy 9-10 from Mongols, I don't know. And I like that in this amount of time he already in the semis of the major. So he succeeded like in a short period of time. So it's not huge aspect, but I like this aspect that this guy can work hard on something and gets some to this level. Not you cannot do it like let's say by randomly. It's not possible. Like you need to have something. And other thing I liked about him is that he's kind of his personality. Like sometimes when you build a team, the thing that I don't have also, I'm not like from some academy. I didn't get my knowledge from academy. I just was fully like making like, like when you're doing like diamonds, like sharpen them like day by day.
Them. Right,
like,
sure, yeah.
Yeah, polishing. I was doing this with myself,
Right.
kind of like there was doing by myself completely. So all knowledge I have is something where something what I saw somewhere, experienced somewhere,
Yes.
analyzed, changed, like mistakes, failures, all this stuff. And this is how I build my knowledge, kind of. And that's why sometimes I don't have like systematic approach sometimes, right? Sometimes I can do it by intuition also, which also is not good that you can rely, but still, if you have experience in this, sometimes people explain it like that intuition is a very fast decision. Let's say like you can very deep do very deep analyzing, and there is a theory that intuition could be something like you do the same, but without this long analytical process. It's just intuition do it instead of you in 1 second.
Yes.
You know, and I think you can trust intuition only when you have experience. Considering this concept, and that's why like sometimes I trust intuition because I have experience, and I felt this intuition about him, like that about his personality, like this is that he can bring like life in the game. Let's say like he can be very effective, like can like affect others, like with his I don't know like this words in English, but
mood
still
or
like
something.
the thing is
the morale.
Yeah, like he can be vocal, he can be positive, he can be like very alive kind of in the game, and it's completely different type of players, in my opinion, and he has his own vision for everything, which is good and bad at the same time. But like I said, it could be like a glue for us to build our lineup. But still, like I said, he had another aspect for me was that he had good aim, and that he didn't play for a long time, and he already was speaking about Counter-Strike in more like professional way. Okay, like because he was playing with Apex. There was like 2 or 3 coaches. There was some lot of theory. So I already saw that but he's like in semifinals. I said, how you played this game, what happened there, his thoughts, and he was explaining like already in a good level, and also like this. So yeah, and we just checked the roles, everything, and he was fitting good enough this position. But yeah, actually, everyone was surprised with this pick. People was thinking, what the fuck? And now he's, I think, top. Maybe he will be.
Oh, he's definitely going to be one of these top 10 players. Yeah, easily. Yeah, easily. Probably be like 6th or 7th, I guess. Yeah.
He can be top 5 or top 6. Yeah. This year.
I think so. By the way, to ask about Wonderful, I actually think this is the player that, in theory, even today has the most pressure on his shoulders in Navi because, one, he replaced Simple, for fuck's sake, the best player ever, in Navi, no less. And then, two, even today, I feel like this guy, when I saw him get announced, Blade, for the HLTV Top 20, every fucking comment was negative. Everyone always just looks at this guy, Wonderful, and they just basically talk about what he isn't. And I feel like they miss what he is because one of the things I've always said about Wonderful in this lineup, Blade, is for me he's like the backbone, like he's the player I can rely on, like he's going to be in this spot on this round at this moment, and I can, if I'm Aleksib, I like that, I can build my tactics off that, I can know what he's going to do. Like I always tell people, if you compare other AWPers, like if you think of how m0NESY plays more like Old Simple, like he takes all the chances, he's really aggressive, you can tell he's doing his own moves sometimes, it's not like Snacks called it or Hooksy called it. I get the feeling Wonderful does what he's told, he does his job. Like, can you give me some sense, what's he been like to work with? How do you envision Wonderful as a player?
Well, you cannot give him this kind of freedom from the beginning because he's very unexperienced. You cannot trust him instantly. So from first day, he was more learning constantly. We knew that he's kind of young player in terms of experience, and he will learn day by day. And I think it's still happening. He's still like in this learning process. In terms of knowledge, he's like gaining more and more knowledge. And I think he will be there at some point for sure. He's just very young at this moment. And but still, like inside the game, already like maybe first 2-3 months, he was very, very like more set, like where he could go, like by setups, by here, by there. But after was another like step where like I was asking him, he can like everything basically, like he can go, he can offer where he wants to go to peak. We're testing some things, how he sees the game. If he can call more like what he wants to do, obviously you try this, you see with the quality of this, and you try to find a balance so the team will basically not be fully like let's say imbalance, no, like disbalance kind of, fully. It can be because but with too many aggressive moves, your game can be fully destroyed. Like nowadays, one entry can finish the round. So if you're not doing this good enough with good quality, because on tier 1 it's all about margins. You need to know this like angles, timings, like feel the moment, like where to find entries. But still, like his main aspect now, like is the same as for any other opera. Like T must try to find entry on any map, on T side, on city side. His main job most of the time is to find entry, unless there is like more team idea. For example, some maps, like if you take, for example, ancient city side, there is not a lot of opera can do on this map, like with entry. Like if you go mid, you can die there instantly. If you go A, there can be 0, like on Mirage on B. If you go on B and you can push, there can be a problem. If you go cave, there can be more. Like this is a map where you cannot do a lot of stuff as an offer. So obviously, you just need to be patient for this. But yeah, we're working a lot with him. Like I said, he's in a learning process.
I feel like if we talk about NAVI and this lineup, everyone's going to remember the amazing summer and the autumn and all the finals and all the wins. So if I ask you about the Copenhagen Major, I want to take people back in time so they remember that actually this wasn't a team that was even supposed to have a chance to win the Major. Like, I'll give you an example. First of all, when you got Wonderful into the lineup, you had that one blast where you made a semis, and that was it. Aside from that, the team was like good, but it wasn't an elite team in Counter-Strike. And I'll give you an example. At the Major, I'll pick out 3 moments during the Major to remind people that this wasn't the team everyone thought would win. So here's an example. After the Swiss system, when you made the playoffs, the reason nobody thought NAVI would win is because you guys lost to Spirit and Cloud9 in the best of 3s. No one even thought Cloud9 was that good. So I remember when the bracket came out, all the people, all the analysts and experts do the pick'em. I'm one of the only notters who even put NAVI in the final, and I just did that because I'm biased to Aleksib Blade. I didn't really know NAVI would be there and beat G2 or Mouse or whoever. I just did that to be a fanboy. I thought, fuck it. And by the way, I also thought no one on that side of the bracket's winning the Major anyway. It's going to be, Spirit or Vitality or FaZe or something. So first of all, no one thought after the Swiss system you're going to win. Then, when you go to the semi-finals, if I was to take everyone into that semi-final against G2 and go to the third map, Ancient, which at the time, by the way, NAVI had like a 36% win rate on or something played. It wasn't good. And in that game, they were beating you. They were going to win this match. So in that moment, no one would tell me NAVI wins this game. And then in the final, remember the second map? The second map was where you guys picked Mirage, and FaZe completely 13-2 stomped you on it, and they have all the expert players, they have all the veterans. Everyone thought, oh, well, FaZe is going to win the Major now. In all these moments, everyone would tell me if I paused the game, oh, of course, NAVI doesn't win now. There's no way, right? when you were there, when it was happening, did it have like did it have a Cinderella feel, like some crazy fairy tale story? Did it seem logical what's happening? What was your feeling of this? It sounds amazing, mate. This should be a movie itself. Just the PGL Copenhagen Major, and it's amazing.
Yeah, that was crazy. Like I said, it was the best memory in Counter-Strike for me, for sure. The most precious, let's say, trophy. And I have one thing that I always know the chances. I always know if I know my team, like it's not like first 1 week or something. You're playing and knowing everything. You know your potential. You know your possibilities. You know everything. And the same as on every map. Okay, we can do on this map. We have this potential. We have these weaknesses. We have these strengths. We can use this. You analyze opponent, how they play this and that. And there are also matchups. Important stuff is matchups in Counter-Strike. And so at that moment, when we were losing to Spirit, that was for me specifically that moment, not the games after. For me, it was always, let's say, confusion. I don't understand how the team can play this style and still win anyone. And when we pick with the team, like what to do, like how to win them, it's kind of easy. But when we go inside the server,
right,
somehow we don't do this. But as I said, it's not something unusual. It's not
right.
They are the most easiest team to counter, in my opinion, to counter them what they're doing. And but still they have Donk, and our problem was with them always that it's a MR12 and you're losing like 1-2 important rounds, and then they have some confidence and we're losing confidence, and they're doing a lot of things together. Like if they decided to do something, it's most likely already everyone like connected, and they will smash it. So if you're not step ahead, it's kind of hard. But we, like you said, we're not favorites at all. But we also knew it's not elimination match versus Spirit. We knew that we don't have anything to lose. We just try something here and there and just analyze our mistakes. And I think this losses was crucial for us, because at that moment we were still a team that building something like far from our like peak. Far, it was very clear for me, not even close where we can be with our potential, because you understand that this player is struggling this situation. It's very easy. Like I don't know if he in 6 months will not struggle in this situation. It will be a different situation, and we just need to give him time. And basically, to Cloud9 we lost, I think mostly because of overpass, because I think it was 1-1, and last map was overpass. We had problems on overpass. I think we didn't play a single overpass in playoffs, which was good for us, and which was bad decision by FaZe, because they thought that maybe we are dangerous on overpass. Yes, we still were doing good city sides. Our problem was T sides on overpass, and we took, I think, 1 or 2 rounds versus Cloud9. We started T, and that was the problem. Like it was all about the map. So versus Cloud9, okay, different third map, different result for sure. This is important part, and nobody understands it sometimes because they don't know that what we're capable, we're not capable. And important part also that we were cooking Ancient. We were working a lot on Ancient this tournament, a lot. And Ancient at that moment was not very easy map to play, let's say like this. And the way how teams were playing on T side were primitive, just primitive. I think they were like blind by them, just blind. I don't know, maybe by ego. I don't know by what, but people could not understand that their ancients are terrible. Like for example, G2 didn't play good ancient. They didn't have good ancient. And FaZe didn't have good ancient. This was clear when you was watching this, them playing this map. This is, I think, actually what Maniac said on the expert panel.
Right.
And he was very, very right of how FaZe play and what is their weakness. They had, on this map, they had really big problems with, let's say, late stages. Okay. And if you like slow them down, don't give them like first upper hand or something, like push them more towards deep round, they can be very uncomfortable. And on this map, people are so uncomfortable. And the same for G2. And there are not a lot of options. If you see like different maps, if you see options of FaZe and G2, let's say on, I don't know, for example, Inferno or Nuke. Options on T side for FaZe on Nuke, options for FaZe on Ancient T side. It's like, for me, it's like, let's say, 10% efficiency on Ancient at that moment, and 90 on Nuke.
Right.
They have.
Right.
And so the thing is that when we lost to Cloud9 Overpass, it was very, very tilted moment that it was this kind of score, but it's important to be realistic, understand that what if you face pain before Cloud9 on 2-1? Cloud9 match will never happen. You will be very confident, right? So if you have this approach, like, forget about Cloud9, like, you're better than pain, but if you play versus pain with this frustration, like with this disappointment, it can affect the quality of your game. And
Right.
good that we managed to reset and smash. Also important aspect that when I saw the bracket, we have a group chat for like with our like top management, that it was very clear for us that, like I said, I see the chances sometimes, right? You clearly see what we can do and what we cannot do. And when we cannot do something, everything depends on opponent. If opponent plays bad, we will just use it, right? And when I see that we can win, it's not about opponent, it's more about us. When I see we cannot win, it's more about mistakes of opponent. If they allow us to win, we will win. And the bracket was like this. I thought that if we win pain, we will play Eternal Fire and G2. At that moment, it was very comfortable teams for us to play.
This was when you were beating G2 every time? Yeah, exactly. Yes.
And it doesn't matter if it's playoff match, it doesn't matter. We know that we are underdog and we know that we were winning them before. It's a comfortable opponent for us to play. That's all. That's how it works. We don't struggle versus them like versus Spirit. And there was a huge potential for grand finals. And this is what you said, guys. If we win pain, we can be in grand finals. And I say, like, imagine it's after 16-1 loss, or how it was, I don't know. I think it was 6-1 loss. After this disaster, you can be in grand finals. I mean, I said it not to players, but to top management. And it's all about like a chance. There is a chance to do this.
Yes.
And then it's like we just play Eternal Fire, the team that we were winning 2 times before, I think. This year, like, I think at that moment, we were confident that people are overhyping Eternal Fire. You can see everything there, from like official games from spectators mode, viewers. But when we played them 2 times, it was much easier than we play other teams. And considering everything, like game plan, everything. So before that game, we knew that it's the best opponent for us.
Yes.
And they had a chance to win, but we eventually won. And then it's already semis. And when you're semis, you have nothing to lose already. Like, I think it's a huge achievement for us at that moment.
Yeah.
We didn't have any expectations already, like, but at the same time, we know it's G2 and we just want to play our best. And third map was Ancient instead of Inferno, right?
Yes.
Yeah, this was a huge mistake by them, 100%.
Yeah, they should have just vetoed into Inferno. It was just an obvious one, right?
Yes, it could be completely different result. And they were, I think they were delusional about our Ancient. And we, at that moment,
It's like I said, you had a bad win rate on it, so I think they just thought it was an easy win, right?
yeah, we were speaking already before this tournament, before this playoff, or working on this map, in what situations, what we can do.
Right.
As a team, we worked more on this map than other maps, what we can do in different situations. So if this will happen, we will know what to do. And it was much easier for us, like, to play this than Inferno, for example. So I don't remember the score, but yeah, it was. This map I actually don't remember a lot, but I remember obviously Ace from
That's where JL
jail.
went crazy. Yes, yes.
Yeah, it was crazy. Other things I don't remember in details, but in the grand final, I understood that we don't have chance if FaZe play their best game.
Right.
Because if they will unleash their potential, like their peak as a team, how they can play the best as a team with this kind of players, they could outplay us. But a lot of aspects worked for us. Like I think MR12, like I said, underdog condition was the main aspect for sure. This is huge privilege, and this is kind of imba, like I said. It's imbalanced thing, speaking about. And if you use it fully in full potential, if you know how to use it, it's kind of very strong thing. And like I said, MR12, veto, and underdog aspect like was huge for us. And that game we could win only if they play bad.
Right.
But again, veto.
Sure.
If they choose nuke, it will be. I think it could be a different story if they choose nuke as first. And as soon as they didn't choose nuke, I understood that we already have a chance because they are scared.
Right.
Or maybe not scared. Maybe they just don't want to risk. That maybe they kind of overthinking. And I understood that this is. You can imagine. I was like, understood that this is our chance to win this grand final. Like as soon as I understood that they didn't choose the nuke, it was like insight.
Right.
You know, it was so clear in my head. And Ancient peak by them was very surprising because we just won G2 already on it. So, and I remember watching them like playing this map. I knew that they, like I said, their nuke was 3 times better at least than their Ancient on T side. And yeah, they also played. We were playing with a little bit dictating, like in the game, and it's very important for underdog. And Mirage, they smashed us, but on Inferno, the main thing that didn't happen on Mirage for us is we didn't do anything on the map. It's like we spoke outside, like guys, like yes, they're playing good, but at the same time, we are not resisting at all. We're not trying to win the game.
Right.
We're just waiting for them to do everything they want, and let's try at least do something in the game. And at least as soon as we started to do something to resist, to kind of dictate, the game changed. And on MR12, underdog aspect and underdog factor, and the thing that you understand that you are one step of winning the majors, this is very strong. Like how beat was activated on Inferno was crucial. He understood, I think, that he saw he saw this potential. He started like to be in the flow. Like everyone started to be in the flow. I think that at that moment, everything was already decided. As soon as we started to like first 2 rounds, we were in a flow fully. Like people, they couldn't stop us, I think. And the only thing that could happen if they win, for example, city side pistol and start like 3-0. It can be different. But as soon as they won pistol, it was GG, I think. So yeah, it was a lot of factors, but I like the thing that we smashed them on Inferno, because no matter what, if you are phased, if you want to win major, you're playing not versus the best team on the tournament.
Yeah.
And there could be, they know how to play this map. There could be equal game.
Yeah.
And the fact that we smashed them showed to me that we will have a good potential in future. So when we played 2 bad tournaments, I understood that this Inferno game showed me that no, it's not luck or something.
Okay. Right. By the way, this is a perfect time for me to ask about the player Immer, because he has what I think might be the most unusual scenario I've ever seen played, which is he won the major and people still, even some of the fans of NAVI, were like, he should be fired from his job and replaced, like get this guy out. And one of the reasons why I bring this up is normally I make a joke when I do analyst desk or videos that like, forget even the major. If you just win a normal tournament, if you're the player under scrutiny, that usually like gets you a lifeline, as it were, buys you some extra time. Like my joke about this last major now would be, so a lot of people were saying the same thing about Magic's in Spirit, right? Well, after the final, he's definitely going to get to play the next season. Like, you wouldn't cut a player after that, right? It's kind of crazy to win the major, and everyone wanted this person to be kicked. And then when the bad results happened, those 2 events you talk about afterwards, everyone was flaming this guy, right? Was there ever a world where he actually would have been removed? Like if his level hadn't have gone up, because he definitely got way better. The stats showed it. The game was he on the hot seat? Was there a world he could have been removed after this major?
No, it's impossible. Like after the Copenhagen Major, no, it was impossible. He is doing the most difficult job in the game, and in our system, he's doing the most difficult role. And I think other teams understand this, that he because they have the same kind of role in the game. Players who are doing the same role. And we must understand that we are not the team of all star players at that moment when we played Major. It was not like a team of star players. And it was normal that he is not outplaying like everyone, like Nico, for example, obviously. But important part that his statistic was not good, but he was doing things that we wanted him to do by game plan.
Right.
By game plan. And he was creating space. He was faking some crucial areas when we needed. Like he was doing some protocols when we needed. He was more like doing this very, very dirty job. And obviously he could do it with more quality, but we can speak if he is like elite player, like I said, like Nico, Elige, and so on. But if we already picked him, we need to give him a chance to prove himself, to learn and to evolve. And I saw this evolution. I saw that he is improving every time. Like he is watching all his plays that he's doing, analyzing what happened, why he didn't succeed. He's noting a lot of stuff, watching different games. So he's doing a lot of research, and it's very important. It means that progress is inevitable. That he will be better and better. I think the only thing he needs to work on is like about gambling, like risking in the game. It's always a problem for a lot of teams and players, but he needs to find a balance when he's doing calculated moves and when he's just fully gambling, like Yekindar, for example. I think there is like some point I was watching, like there was 70% full gamble, like relying that the opponent is just don't expect such bullshit, right? And going in the smoke, bomb, killing people in the back, and they think, what the fuck he just did? He just went through the smoke and he would die. And it's like very, very straight example, but this is good to understand, like, where is risk. You can go inside molly, you can push when you don't need to push, and this is important to find this balance for him. This is his main problem. The only thing, like the quality of his play will be different if he will find a balance when he needs to risk and when he needs to calculate his moves.
I have a tricky question to ask about Simple, because the problem is you are still the current coach of Navi. You have the same current players, and at the moment it's a very successful team, so I understand it might be tricky what you can say, but let me just frame it this way. When Simple first said at the end of CSGO, basically like, I'm not going to play CS2 initially, I'm going to like bench myself, and then Wonderful came in, and people might remember, Wonderful initially was just coming in as a stand-in. It wasn't like going to be like a full-time, nobody thought Wonderful's going to be here 10 years later. People's expectation outside of Navi Blade was, it isn't the question of will Simple come back, it's when will he come back. It's like, how long does he need? Does he need 3 months? Does the game have to change? So a lot of people, I think, because until Navi won the major, you weren't winning tournaments, you weren't even in the finals. I think a lot of people were just looking at the Navi lineup and they were like, right, maybe he'll come back as an AWPer and replace Wonderful, or maybe Imma's doing bad, maybe he's going to become a rifler, maybe he'll come back. And I think a lot of people thought if Navi didn't win this major and the season ended without success, that Simple would have been brought back into the lineup, right? Was this even possible? Was it ever something that was an idea? If I'm like, we are talking about an alternate world where you didn't win the tournament. Was this something that could have happened?
I don't think that he could do the role that Ima was doing. Impossible. Okay. This role is very difficult. Like I said, it demands a lot of hard work and like calculating like timings, everything. On meta, you need to be in the meta 24/7, and I don't know. Like here, no, after measure, it was not possible even if we lose, because he saw him as the AWPer, of course, and yeah.
Okay, just a question, right? What about this then? One of the factors that made Navi become this team that was in all those finals in a row was clearly, obviously, being amazing on Mirage. Now, Mirage was actually still a good map, even with the other lineup before you won the major, but the difference is you were unbeatable. At one point in time, obviously, you won 12 in a row, and it wasn't even just that you used to win. I've always said, to me, Mirage in the modern days, the map that in theory almost every team plays, it's one of the closest maps. Everyone knows how both sides of the map work. Normally, this is a map that's supposed to be like 13-11 overtime, like really close. You guys were winning and the other team didn't even get double digits. They used to get like 6 rounds or 7 rounds, something, right? What changed about Mirage? What did Navi key into? Because at that time, even the best teams couldn't beat you. Nobody could beat you.
We had our vision of the map, and I think when we are winning tournaments, let's say even like this, if you're playing grand finals, people already trying to learn something from you. It's like it should be like this.
Yes.
If you're in grand final, it means that you do something better than others, and they will go and check what is going on. And Mirage was one of their best maps, which basically, or even best, and that means that they were for sure. If the teams wanted to improve on Mirage, they were going to watch Navi's Mirage, and it means that tendencies changed, everything evolved. People started to somebody was copying us, somebody was understanding the approach, the idea what we want to do, doing the same but in their own way, with their own style, and people just understand. So they learned how to play this map much better, and a lot of times it happened by studying us, which means they already know how we play. It's something, for example, like Fear was saying when they won Spirit in PGL, that he watched so many demos of Spirit that in some situations he already knew what Donk will do and what this guy will do. So when people like studying us, I'm pretty sure they are learning on the map first thing aspect, which is already enough like to beat us. I mean, or have a chance to beat us. And then second thing is they were knowing a lot about us. Okay, and of course there were maybe there were some teams who were focusing on their own approach, just understanding like what we are doing, just doing what they want, but knew what we are doing. And then just meta changed. People started to play good Mirage, and things where we saw gaps stopped being gaps and flaws. People didn't have these flaws anymore. And now the map changed. We will try to work on this in this season, but I don't think it will be like the same gap.
Sure.
Between us and other teams. I think it will be. We will still be able to compete on this on this map, but not the same as before. Not dominant.
Along those lines, let me take the point you just made there and connect it to a bigger point. So when I wanted to ask about this period where you had the 5 finals, where every tournament you were just in the final every time, I actually want to kind of open this up for a casual fan to understand that, you know how you were saying earlier, how players improve over time and they change. And you were talking just now about how on Mirage, it's not static. It's not like you're playing the same Mirage every time, because each time you play another game, they can watch your last game. Obviously, you're the main team they're studying. So what it means is each time you play, you have to update what you're doing as well. You have to anticipate that they will try and do things to counter you. I've always said about that Astralis team that won the 3 majors in a row, the most incredible thing they did, Blade, wasn't even just win the majors. It's that they didn't really properly get beaten by other people. They could lose the odd game, but even though everyone back then was doing the same thing we're talking about now, everyone used to, I bet you used to watch all the Astralis demos. Everyone used to watch every Astralis Nuke and Inferno demo and study all the tactics. So what that means, I've always told fans, is when they kept winning for like 6 months more, 9 months more, another year, that means they're not waiting for someone to show them what they're doing wrong. They're updating themselves. They're trying to look at it and like, get right, we better fix that because someone's going to figure it out, or this is getting weaker over here. During this 5 tournament run where every time you're in the finals, it's not the case of just being with the best team, we're in the finals. I'm sure between, you're having to think like extra homework, like update what we're doing, or watch out because people are getting close on this map, or people... I imagine people don't understand the workload it takes to be excellent that long. It's not just one tournament where you're good, or it wasn't like there's one tournament where, you know, Imma fragged or Wonderful had a clutch here. Every tournament, no matter what, even if Navi plays bad in a game, they get to the final no matter what. Give me a sense of what work does that take? It sounds to me like it's you have to put your whole life into it pretty much that time, right?
We are working a lot on system, kind of. What differs this team from previous is that we work a lot on theory. Like we analyze together, speak. We can spend like 2 hours. It can be a little bit exhausted, or people can get bored. But I think for them, it's even very important to be in the talk, be in there, and in a discussion still. No matter what, because this is nowadays one of their best, let's say, strengths that you can build. The knowledge. I think the knowledge about the game is one of the factors that can be crucial, that you can give you a step ahead, kind of. And we were working a lot on this system, like how we need to operate, like, and specifically in the situation, how we can build a protocol so it will be not random and hard to execute it like automatically, so people can see it more like through some, let's say, habit or similar like foundation of a situation, deeper layer. Like I think all situations different. If you explain like, oh no, this situation you need to play like this. Yes, he maybe will play like this, but maybe the situation will happen like in 1 year. So you cannot explain every situation. That's why we were trying to build these protocols where can apply to different situations, let's say like this. And working a lot on this, like on reactions, on language, like how we can create like one language, different words for different situations. Mostly like about system, mostly about how people were evolving, how were hardworking. Also, one important thing is that I remember everything. Also, we were asking about like the teams are trying to see what we're doing to adapt, right, from tournament to tournament. But our main thing is like we're trying to change constantly. So it's not even in this lineup, it's previous also. Our main approach is like we are trying to change from match to match. So we don't like to repeat things from previous match.
I have a question along these lines about your systematic approach to building specifically the NAVI teams, because I remember an incident. I don't know if you remember this. It's actually another one of the incidents where Simple misread a tweet or something and got mad, which is one time when I did that show with Richard Lewis, By the Numbers, where it was like a weekly show where we cover all the big topics, kind of like HLTV Confirmed, if people don't know. On this show, it was in 2021 when Gambit was the number one team, not Navi. Gambit was number one, and Navi was like, one of the teams battling to beat them. And I think it was when you had like the bad Pro League or something, like early on when you were using Bit and he was initially coming in the lineup. Famously, right, you made a comment in an interview that was something like I need 6 months to get the system up and running or something like that. You said something like that, right? And the problem is, at the time, Richard thought that was just an excuse, that what you were basically saying was sort of like, don't judge me off these results because these don't count. But if you give me 6 months, it'll be fine. Which, if someone else said it, Blade, I would think the same thing. I'd be very cynical. I'd think, it just sounds like bullshit. But I will say that's because a lot of people I know do have a very basic approach. Their approach is like, what players do I have? What do they want to do? What map are we good at? It's quite simple. They just look at a few demos. Like, the reason why I could believe your system approach, this idea of needing like 5 to 6 months could be real, Blade, is because as far as I can tell, you've done it 3 times in Navi. So if people don't know, when you joined Navi in 2019, something like 5 or 6 months after you became the coach, you were in the org before, but then became the coach. Something like 5 or 6 months after is when the team won that Katowice event in 2020. Then if I skip to 2021, when Bit came in, 5 or 6 months later is when you won the PGL Major. It's actually for real if you go look at this. And then if I look now, Blade, in 2023, when Simple went out the lineup and Wonderful came in, you can guess the number. It's about something like 5 or 6 months till he won the Major. Like, as far as I can tell, you might be the only person, because these are 3 different lineups, that what you're saying has been proven to be correct. So give me some sense. What did you mean when you say a comment like that, like about how it takes many months to build up? Because a lot of people, I think, Blade, want the opposite in CS. They want instant results. And if you don't have the results within the first 2 or 3 months, they think like you should be fired or the players should change. You obviously have a different approach. So why is your mentality like building up? And is there something different about your approach, do you think?
Well, I think if nowadays there's some organizations who ask from a new lineup to achieve something in 3 months, I think it's already a failure. I don't know. I think I still think that most of the organizations are giving some time, because it's basically impossible. Like we speak today and speak for a long time before that. How you can play on the server and reacting basically as a team in a team game, reacting similar, like kind of like, let's say, having a team play without the same knowledge. So it's kind of physically impossible. I don't know. You can do it only if the scene is very, very low, very, very weak.
Right.
If teams are very weak, of course, you can pick 5 players and they will achieve everything. But if the team is competitive, it's impossible. Like, you need at least 6 months to build. But you know that I actually read this once, I think, in Zonic interview. I think when Astralis was maybe when they won first major, I think so, or maybe second. In interview, he said that they spent 1 year. They spent 1 year to build the system.
Right.
And he was explaining everything. He was saying like, only now we realize that the whole year, everything, like, you can clearly see that, like, we added this aspect, we changed this, adapting here. And it means that you are building something, the knowledge for every player to have the same ideas, same vision on the server. Like, it gives you time. It takes time. And he was basically saying that the way how they played like amazing in terms of, like, there was really good quality on the server, and they won the tournament. There was good quality. I read the interview and understand everything. I see like people were doing this. It's not what it wasn't like, oh guys, let's play like this, and they just play. No, he was explaining it was like 1 year of hard job. 1 year ago, they couldn't do the same, which means that you need to be patient. You need to build day by day, making it sharp, like polishing everything. And this is how it works. And after, if Zonic is saying this, and they are like the best team in the world at this moment, it's just basically a recipe of success, or no, a recipe of correct approach, proper approach. The recipe, like how you need to try to have a chance at least to be the best team in the world. And I was using this 1 year basic terminology, like every time when I speak to our like top management, for example, which is not something like bullshit, which is basically how it should be. This is how it should be. If you don't want to wait, then just buy the new lineup that was playing already for 1 year. I don't know. So yeah, this is how it works. That's why it's very hard to change players, especially core players. Then you need again to rebuild everything. Like I think if you change one player, it's again a rebuild. Always. It depends how much you need to rebuild, but it's always a rebuild. It can be 2 months, can be 6 months again, because we don't know what ideas this player will bring. We don't know how fast he will learn. We don't know how he will react on other teammates. He can just start doing some new moves on the map, and after this move, our teammates will react differently. Everything is different, like, and you need, maybe he will do so many mistakes. You need to change, to fix, to change the roles. So yeah, it looks always like this. You have 5 players as one unit. As soon as you remove one player, the unit is not stable anymore, and you can be really lucky if you pick another player and he is just completely like smoothly joining like your system, and you become one unit. It's a miracle, not miracle, maybe luck, maybe coincidence, but normally it shouldn't.
If people think about when you won the championships with the 2021 NAVI, obviously you did have Simple, like, what the best player. Some people say the best player to ever play Counter-Strike played, right? The downside of having a truly great player like that is, I'm sure there are games where maybe you didn't even do a great job yourself, or people played badly in the game, but a player like that can sometimes, like, I always say, like, steal a game. They can just steal a map where you shouldn't win, but they just win because they're just too good. And, like, if you have a player like that, you could even argue as a coach, sometimes in your mind, you're also thinking, if this player plays like 10 out of 10 level, 100% level, I'm going to win anyway, right? When you said that the most important like trophy was the major last year, the Copenhagen one, obviously without Simple, right? Obviously, we don't mean this as a diss to Simple. I actually mean it more on your side. In some ways, you must be able to feel more like you did your job when you don't have a player like Simple and you win. Do you understand what I mean? Like, to me, in a way, he can be like a cheat card, like a joker that he can fix problems that exist in the server. If you don't have a Simple and you have the lineup you had, I don't think anyone thought any of those players were going to be the best player of the world. Like it has to be what you've done in your job. You must have done a good job to win, right?
Yes, this is actually, I think you're completely right. I also don't think that any other coach will succeed with this lineup, in my opinion. It's just not to praise myself, but this is really, if I think like the whole process we spent all this time with past and watching, listening to other coaches, the way the players who they pick, or organization asked them to pick. I think nobody would pick these players. Let's say like this.
No, absolutely not.
And yeah, this is why it's
But I'll even say, by the way, Blade, in case people don't know this, I heard some rumours last year, maybe I hinted at them early in the interview, of some players who wanted to join Navi. Let's say there's certain big riflers might have wanted to join. I think other teams even would have done those moves, Blade. I think you were actually ballsy to gamble and stick with the lineup. I think some other teams, if they hear we can get a big, like, top 20 player, they're going to say yes and just throw it in there, even though it might cause all problems to your system, like you're saying.
Yes. That happened already after we won a major. That actually huge boost for myself and for our team, that because it proves something, and players, not everyone, but a lot of players will now have more reasons to join Navi.
Yes.
And but it's for me, it's more like when I see the potential is not done yet, like it's still there. For me, it's very, very painful to change a player, because we started something, we won a major in the break after London, after the summer break. Some players were approaching Navi, and
yes.
We cannot change like this. Like the process coming, and eventually, it's actually was funny that after that conversation, it happened. Like we started to be in the finals 6 times or 5-6 times in a row, which proved that the process was important, to trust this process. And another thing is why major is, like I said, already important for me in Copenhagen is because it proves for myself. This is why it's so precious, like valuable, because it proved for myself that what we were doing is was correct, and it brought us success. So it's very important. Like it is one of the most valuable things. Like when you can justify what we are doing by success, by results, and like recognition. Also, people can recognize what you're doing, like praising you. Not just random people, but people from industry. What can be more valuable than this, right? So for sure, this is very, very valuable for me, the most valuable.
If I was to ask along these lines, Blade, someone who was the greatest coach of all time, like the obvious answer used to just be Sonic, because he won 5 majors, like he won 1 in Vitality, he won 4 in Astralis, right? But the problem there is, when he won the 4 in Astralis, he had Device, who, by the way, was winning all MVPs all the time. When he won in Vitality, he had Ziwu, who some people say is the best player. You go look in other eras, there wasn't coaches back when there was Fnatic, really. There was kind of back then. Maybe Zeus from SK Luminosity won 2 majors, but you had Cold Zera. You notice the difference where I'm getting here. You didn't have, this year, when you won, like last year, 2024, when you won, you didn't have a Simple, you didn't have a Device, you didn't have a Cold Zera, a Nico. You had some pretty good players and certain roles, very good players. So here's the question. Does Blade think Blade is the best coach ever?
Usually, like I always analyze everything, like to give the correct answer. And the same question you was asking about Simple or Zywu. Everything depends. Like it's not finished. Like the Counter-Strike did not finish. Like we're still playing, and who knows what will I achieve, or other coaches will achieve next year. Maybe Zonic will win another one major, right? And it's very, very subjective. Everything you can define, basically the only thing that can be real and how to say, not unmovable, like something like very like cemented like thing is that like trophies, right? Only trophies. And what is the most valuable trophy is obviously major. Second for me, I think, is Grand Slam. And no matter what, like I can say that this year I was successful. I was better than other coaches for sure. Like this is proven by facts, but obvious, like you said, like with these kind of players, we achieve so many things. I was at some point during this year, I was so shocked, like the scene, how competitive is the thing, how many teams there are.
Right.
You're listening to their like interviews, like watching some videos, how they're approaching the game, their like blogs and so on, and you can see like that there are a lot of people, a lot of talented people with a lot of talented like teams, let's say, coaches, players. All of them have a lot of experience, and they are very strong players. And I was sometimes thinking, like, guys, we have a chance here, we have a chance there. I was thinking that we can get maybe quarters, semis, and then like tournament after tournament, we were going like finals. And I was realizing, because I always have hesitations, like everyone. I think it's very, very like natural thing that must be there. Overconfidence is not good, in my opinion. So when you hesitate, and I was hesitating a lot, like I was not thinking like we should win. I was just focusing on the process. Okay, I was focusing on the process to together with my team, like to fix as much as possible, to improve as much as possible, and not thinking about this. But when this was happening, I was thinking, wow, like this team is not, I was expecting them to be in the final, but they are losing like this. So how much I overthink, like I overestimate them in my head, which is also important aspect. And eventually, like seeing the results, and the fact that obviously, like this year I was coaching the best. But another aspect is you never know what other coaches are doing in the team.
Yeah, of course.
You never know. You like it's all behind curtains, and again, you can only check interviews or some talks with different players, and you need to trust them, because sometimes some players can say bullshit
Sure.
intentionally and lie to you, you know.
Yes.
So it can be like not real information, and that's why you need like to collect all these pieces, like results, the game style, the game plan, the play versus view, some interviews, some talks, and you have like from these little pieces a puzzle kinda, and then you can understand a little glance like what is this coach is about, you know, what is his impact. So it's not so easy, and that's why it's also important aspect. That's why it's subjective. But yeah, like trophies, mostly maybe the main thing, and I think the recognition of others. That's why I think maybe HLTV awards like good thing, because they take people from industry who knows and they vote, which is also important. But if you speak about GOAT over like of all time, it's very impossible to answer, because at this moment, no, because he achieved more. Like it was not an easy job for me. I understand, but it's also not an easy job for him. Again, there was a lineup with Vitality with different players.
Yeah, true.
Again, I don't know the impact. He knows the impact. So it's very hard. But still, if speaking of results, obviously not. I don't think myself is the greatest of all time, but I agree that I did a really good job this year.
I don't know if I've got a question for you, a weird question. It's just about your social media, specifically your Instagram account, Blade, because I don't know whether you did this intentionally, but if you didn't, then it unintentionally is really cool. It's like some out of a movie that's built like a mystique around your brand, which is because, like me, you're really old and a boomer. You're not like young kids with all the social media. You're not a guy who's posting pictures on social media and Instagram. So famously, you only ever post a picture on Instagram when you win a trophy. Now, that would be whack, Blade, if you'd only won one trophy. But here's the cool detail. Think about what I just said to people listening to this interview. What if I told you Blade's Instagram account has 10 photos? That's fucking gangster then, because that means you won 10 trophies. Like, was that just something that you just did randomly? Like, it makes it actually cool, because it makes you seem more mysterious, Blade. Like, you must be the mastermind, like, planning this all out or something.
Yeah, like Instagram, I didn't have Instagram. I created it after Katowice 2020 when we won. Everyone was in Instagram doing like all this stuff, basic stuff, and Simple told me like, "Where's your Instagram? Why you're not posting anything?" I say I don't like Instagram. I don't like to, let's say, like to share my private life at all. Like, I think privacy is priceless. And maybe will be more priceless in this every year.
Yes.
And that's why I want to keep it. And but it's obviously choice of everyone. Some people like to share like constantly every day, like their ideas, which is always normal. But it depends on the person, basically. And when I did it, I didn't care about Instagram, so I just said, okay, I will create just for trophies. We already have one, so I can at least post one, and let's just put only trophies there. And we start to laugh, like, yeah, it's a good idea, let's do this. And yeah, there could be a chance that we will not win anything. It will be only one. But I didn't actually. There was not a lot of risk. If yes,
sure,
nobody will even think about this.
Sure.
Just forget about this. So there was no lot of gamble, kind of. So I just did it. And now it's 10 actually. I should name for last one. How you say it, like not anniversary, but how you say like 10th one in English.
Oh right, I'm not
like
sure.
Special digital, special date.
Right. Oh yeah, anniversary.
Something like anniversary, but in real life. But I don't know,
right,
like special, like 10th one. Yeah, it was very, very interesting idea, and people start to say to me nowadays that I should do it more, to upload photos more like more casual, more raw, like not professional photos on all this stuff.
I have a question, Lord. This is towards the end now, obviously. If people think about this interview, which is very long, we covered a lot of time in your career. I think people's perception of Blade has changed a lot over the 20 years. Like I said, before you were just a really old school captain that was just one of the first people in Ukraine that had success. Then you were like one of the like good IGLs in Ukraine, but you weren't Zeus. You weren't getting to be in NAVI and win all the championships and win the major and beat Fnatic and stuff. Then in CSGO, like I said, I actually, even people who were teammates of yours told me all that stuff like, oh, he'll never be the IGL of NAVI in CSGO though. He's all outdated and, you know, he didn't move with the times and adapt and evolve. And so I think actually if people think, if you asked someone today, they would say you're the best mind in Counter-Strike. You're the most knowledgeable. You're the most up-to-date. You're on the cutting edge. You're the one coming up with all the stuff. Do you like this perception that Blade is a mastermind? Do you embrace this sort of the way people conceive of you? That's kind of the archetype they put on you. You're the mind that can figure out the game. Do you like that? Do you like that being your reputation?
Yeah, it kind of fits me. I like to I don't know, for me it's more like everyone will like this, you know, because the whole Counter-Strike thing, like a lot is about, it's a lot about outsmart your opponent, and I value like my ability, like to the skill to be smart enough to outsmart, to analyze deeply, like to have this knowledge. But yeah, it's actually very, very unusual that eventually, after not such a successful career, right, as a player, I became like a coach, and people called me mastermind. So it's not me who created this. If people think like this, it means that I am doing something, right? I'm doing something that
Yes.
makes them think like this. I'm doing some interviews or doing some, when I was player playing FlipSid3 Tactics, like people were saying our tactics are very, very complex, like step ahead, like geniuses, like a genius. And I think that surprising thing is that I'm here with this nickname, let's say, very unusual, but at the same time, we need to value more the aspect of failure, you know?
Okay.
And I think that if you try a lot of times, day by day, to achieve something, constantly trying to evolving day by day, and even if you're like, the more mistakes you are doing, kinda, because if I look in the past on different teams where I was, for sure I could do differently a lot of stuff. Obviously, I sometimes think like how silly I was here, how stupid I was here. We could win this game, we could win that game. The approach was so primitive, and so on and so on. And it gives a huge like it's spotlight like on this aspect, like when you are losing a lot of times and you are making correct conclusions, it can give you a benefit in the future. So it's like not instant result, but day by day you will get the knowledge, and you will be step ahead kind of, because other teams don't have this. It doesn't matter, like they have 2 years of experience of success, but experience of success is completely different than experience of failure. And I think it made a huge thing for me, like for sure. But maybe I was always meant to be like a coach. I don't know. And maybe it was always a path, like just to get here, like to get as much knowledge to become a coach. Who knows? But the way how I see nowadays players playing, the way how much knowledge they have, I mean, how much knowledge they can get from everywhere, like from interviews, from demos, from just some guides, and so on. I think I could be completely different player. Like in 2001, 2002, 2003, even when we built a gaming, back then, in 2001, I was like very, very like aimer kind of was called. Like people just picked me, like guys who had more experience. They just picked me like because I was young guy who was aiming like crazy, going around and killing everyone like donk, let's say. Okay. But obviously in 2001, it was completely different level of the game. But still, like, I understand that at some point I was considered not like a mastermind. I was considered like an aimer. I was playing in the same team with my CEO, actually, of NAVI CEO. And yeah, I think only he was playing this first team. And he was telling me that, like, they picked me because I was like
Right.
only good by aim, not by thinking, not by outsmart anyone. And I understand that we were like pioneers back then, like just without any knowledge, just doing something that we like. But nowadays people have so much advantage, players, new players, they can learn so fast. And who knows, maybe now I would not be even an IGL. Maybe if I would start now, right, it could be different. I could be just rifle, for example, like electronic, I don't know. But you know what it is? Like, I had my own way, and it led me to be a coach of NAVI. And let's see what future will bring to me.
At the end of the interview, do you have a final message? Do you want to thank anyone or say hello to anyone?
Final message is always like, let's thank you everyone like for supporting NAVI, obviously, and I think that nowadays fans are they're more and more fans nowadays. Like the industry become bigger, and the more we like evolve the game, the more fans we get. And I noticed that nowadays a lot of fans around the world, like when we were in China, in Brazil, you never see them because you are basically practicing or on the server. But when you go these arenas, like people support you, it values a lot, and that's why I want to take big thanks to our fans. And sometimes I met people who say to me, "I remember you from FlipSid. I am cheering you from FlipSid." Or some people say like from a gaming. Remember you from 2006. I was cheering for you. I'm a fan. Imagine, like, you never know that they exist.
Yeah.
And then you meet them. So yeah, for sure, like fans is very important, and we need to value them more. So big thanks to everyone who supports us, and see you in future.
Dziękuję.
Dziękuję.
They say no man is an island. We all need people who've got our back. And supporting me and the content on my channel are the following people: Matt Pugnaccio Racula, The Concept, Animosity, Bane Diesel, Ben Glass, Jason, Jensen Gore, Tosh, Toucan, and you know it. Always a special thanks goes up to my main man, Jerky's Minion. Do you want to ask a question for my video AMA? Do you want to take part in one of those lengthy discussions where I talk about whatever topics are on your mind? Do you want teasers, find out who the upcoming guests are, or maybe even to suggest a guest or a topic for my content? If any of those perks or others catch your fancy, well, put your money where your mouth is and join the Skrill Illuminati today, where? In the Patreon link in the description box below.